Hey guys, what's going on? Jebb here, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the crash that happened in the Bitcoin market and subsequently in the rest of the cryptocurrency market here in the last 36 hours. I'm going to be talking about why this market crashed so hard. A lot of people said that I was overreacting when I put Bitcoin crashed in the thumbnail of yesterday's video, but actually it turned out to be foreshadowing because right after I uploaded that video, the market crashed about another 5 to 6% here on Bitcoin and quite a bit worse on some of these other cryptocurrencies. As we can see here, a lot of the cryptos are down quite a bit, but if you scroll through this market about 12 hours ago, pretty much every single cryptocurrency on the market was down double-digit percentage points. Veritasium sticking out like a sore thumb, up 7.71%. But other than that, the rest of the market is doing pretty poorly. So in today's video, I want to talk about the market. We're going to do some technical analysis on Bitcoin and some fundamental analysis relating to some news on Bitcoin to try to get to the bottom of why this crash happened. And then I'm also going to be talking about how you could have traded this market. I'm also finally going to be talking about how you need to approach this market and how you need to think about this market so that you can actually make the most out of your trades and so that you don't get fearful and scared over this market. We'll be talking about that more in tomorrow's video though. But before we get into this video, definitely consider dropping a like and subscribing if you enjoyed today's video because I do cryptocurrency videos like this every single day. So let's get right into it, guys. Bitcoin is currently trading around $6,700, down from about $7,700 where it was a couple hours before I uploaded yesterday's video. Early yesterday, Bitcoin was trading around $7,700 in this consolidation pattern, this ascending wedge pattern, which is typically a bullish continuation pattern. Well, not necessarily a continuation pattern, but it's normally a bullish wedge pattern. And as we can see, we were kind of straddling this uptrend, and unfortunately, we fell below it. It looked like we were going to get support on this all-important trend line, which I'll define in a second if you guys aren't familiar with it. But we actually fell below that too. And we got a massive volume climax here, which we've been looking for volume, which is why I posted this to my Instagram. People have been wishing for more volume lately. Careful what you wish for, you might just get it. As we can see, we got the volume candle that we wanted, but not necessarily the price action that we wanted. But nevertheless, the market did crash, and it looks like we're kind of finding support down here around $6,600. The rest of the market, like I mentioned earlier, is not doing phenomenally either. EOS is down 17%. Everybody thought EOS was going to do really well after its mainnet launch. It's down close to 50% from where it was right after that mainnet launch news came out. And well, right after the day that it was slated to launch came out. It was down nearly 25% yesterday. The entire market has lost a lot of market capitalization. We're back below $300 billion, down here around $290 billion. That just shaved off $2 billion when I updated the page. If you scroll back, you'll see that happen. But we had a bottom of $300 billion recently, and we've actually broken below that, which isn't great. Like I said earlier, we are getting some more volume back into the market. This is one of the largest volume numbers that we've seen in a couple of weeks. Unfortunately, it's not exactly the volume that we were looking for. But anyway, let's do some technical analysis on this and talk about what led up to this. And then we're also going to get into some news that potentially could have caused this, or at least exacerbated, I'm butchering that word, exacerbated this little crash that we've had here. So, of course, if you saw my video yesterday, I talked about this trading channel that we were in and this ascending wedge that we were in. Normally, these break out. More often than not, you're going to see a breakout to the bullish side on this, but we were kind of straddling this long-term up, not long-term, we were straddling this uptrend, and as we can see, we kind of tested it, got a little bit of support, and then fell back through it. After we fell back through it, the next real important level of support was $7,200. As I said earlier, I'll go ahead and define that. If we come out here to the day, that was, let me get volume out of here so we can see this, that was the uptrend of this wedge pattern that we're in, but unfortunately we've fallen so far below it that I think we can definitively call this a bearish breakout of that ascending of that wedge pattern, which is most unfortunate. We luckily do still have a level of support down here right around $6,500. You could call this support over here when Bitcoin came down to 6,000. If you take out the wicks, then we can call that around $6,500. This market pulled back to around $6,500 here, and that's where we are now. So unfortunately, now we have a descending wedge with a flat bottom, which is not necessarily a very it's not a very bullish sign, but it is still a wedge pattern, and this still can't break either way. So there is still possibility that we break bullish out of this, but we very, very badly need to defend this $6,500 level. But if we come back in here to the hour, we broke that uptrend that I was just talking about, and now we're getting support down here. After coming down to like 10 on the hourly RSI, we're getting support down here around $6,500 and forming that triple bottom that I've talked about in several different videos. As we can see, we have a nice triple bottom forming 1, 2, 3. That's the real last important big level of support that we need to maintain. The next levels of support I'll go ahead and outline for you below that are about right here at $6,000. We have $6,000 where we came down here. We also have about $5,800 when we came back down here, right around this level. And then we also have $5,000, and of course the levels below that, like $3,000. I don't think we're going to go down to $5,000, and I don't think we will ever go below $5,000 again. But maybe someone will come back and quote me on that in 6 months and be laughing at me. Hopefully not, though. But something I want to point out in this market, guys, is that a lot of people are very worried about this market. A lot of people, let me check how long we're going here. A lot of people are very worried about this market, but let's kind of go over why you shouldn't be as worried about this market as a lot of people are. If we look at the market in 2017, the market was kind of tootling along, just doing its thing, a nice little ramping up bull run. I was in a lot of this market, and then right after we got right around here, funnily enough, right when I started the YouTube channel, Bitcoin took off like a rocket from $8,000 all the way to $20,000 in the span of like 3 weeks. This was absolutely absurd. That is what you would call a bubble. That's basically what Bitcoin's price was in. And unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, well, kind of unfortunately, but obviously we were going to have a correction from that. And that's exactly what we're in right now. But guys, if we take away this price action in December and January, and then look at what the market would have done if we didn't have this massive run-up from people investing in Bitcoin trying to quintuple their money and buy a Lamborghini next week. If that hadn't have happened, Bitcoin probably would have run up to somewhere around $10,000, maybe had a cool off back down here to $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, and been up at like $13,000, $14,000 right now. So if you take away this massive run based on FOMO, we're actually not as far back below the all-time high as we would have been. So this all-time high is kind of a weird measuring stick to measure how far retraced we are, because this all-time high was not warranted in any way, shape, or form. We should never have gone to $20,000 this early. Way back when I was first getting into cryptocurrency, I was calling for Bitcoin to hit $10,000 by the beginning of February. Now, of course, we hit $10,000 in February, but just not the way we wanted to. But nevertheless, guys, don't get too worried about the market, because the fundamentals have not changed. The fundamentals have continued to get better and better and better for cryptocurrency. And just because the price action is going down doesn't mean that the fundamentals are also going down in value. We're seeing adoption continue to grow. We're seeing awareness continue to grow. We're seeing regulatory clarity continue to grow. And we're also seeing the all-important technological development in this kind of invention ecosystem that we're in continue to grow. So the fact of the matter is, just because the price action is going down doesn't mean that the actual value of the assets that we're trading here are going down. It just means that the nominal value is going down. So the longer that Bitcoin's in a bear market, the more time that we have to develop the space and actually build that nominal value, if you were to call it something like that, so that we're able to have a much larger bull run in the future. That's kind of what happened in this long-term bear market back here. But anyway, I went on a little bit of a side tangent there. I hope that helped you. Let's get into some news that could have potentially caused this. Let's zoom in here to the hour. Now, I'm not going to say that either of these news articles necessarily caused this, because I'm not totally convinced that either of them did, but I will go ahead and link them to you in the description and talk about them here so you guys can make up your mind for yourselves. CoinRail is an Asian cryptocurrency exchange, and they were recently hacked for about $40 million. You guys have probably heard about this, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. But CoinRail, a cryptocurrency exchange based in South Korea, said on Sunday its platform had been hacked, with other sources suggesting it lost No, I don't. Excuse me, I'm recording a video. With other sources suggesting it lost cryptocurrencies totaling as much as $40 million in the attack. Now, guys, if you were in cryptocurrency back in 2012, then you guys probably remember the Mt. Gox attack, which is what a lot of people said caused the great crash back here in 2013. Back here, Mt. Gox was hacked somewhere around here, and that led to the bear market. So cryptocurrency exchanges being hacked is a big deal, but I'm not so sure that this is anywhere near as big as some people are cracking it up to be, because $40 million just isn't a lot of money in cryptocurrency anymore. Another reason that a lot of people are saying this bear market, or not this bear market, but this little crash probably happened, is because of this mysterious Asian whale who has accumulated more than 94,000 Bitcoins during the first half of 2018, have now begun to move them back to one of the cryptocurrencies exchanges from which they originated. So basically what happened here is they moved about 8,000 Bitcoin to Huobi exchange, and after it's on the exchange, you don't necessarily know what they did with it. So they could have sold it, they could have moved it into altcoins, but a lot of people are concerned that they sold it and that caused a price crash. Now, a lot of people are overly concerned about the actual power of a whale. Let's do some math real quick and try and figure out how powerful a whale that has 8,000 Bitcoin and sells it all at once is. If we take 8,000 Bitcoin and multiply it by the price of Bitcoin at the time right before this market crash, then we'll see that was worth about $62 million. The daily trading volume of Bitcoin is normally hovering around $4.5 to $5 billion. So we'll call it $5 billion when this hack actually, or not when this hack, when this sell-off could have actually occurred. So you're talking about way less than 1% of the daily volume going towards sell-side action. No, I don't. I'm recording a video. You're talking about way less than 1% of Bitcoin's daily volume going towards the sell-side action. So that's really not enough to really move the market in any drastic way. What a whale can do, on the other hand, is that they can sell at a very, very specific time. So if the whale sold right here on this candlestick when we were breaking bearish out of this ascending wedge pattern and caused this candlestick, that could have set off a little downtrend. But that's not going to set off this massive crash. What really set off this massive crash was the already bubbling despair in the market and the fact that we didn't really get a very strong bounce off of this long-term uptrend like we were hoping for. The last two times that we bounced off of this, back here and back here, we had very strong bounces. Here we were just kind of trading sideways, and the market still had a lot of people that had a lot of despair in it because of this. So I'm not convinced that the whale did as much as some people think it did, although it could have definitely, the whale could have definitely contributed to that if it did happen to sell all that at the same time. Now I want to talk about, I'm not going to talk about this too much because I'm going to make a dedicated video to this tomorrow, but I want to talk mainly to those people that are really concerned about the market and are despairing in the market and they're wondering what to do now that the market is just crashing. The thing is, this is going to be a little less informal than the rest of the video, guys. A lot of people are very concerned about this market, and the first thing I want to tell you is don't. Just don't be concerned about the market. Guys, the Bitcoin market, I know a lot of you guys are new into the market, but the fact is the Bitcoin market was on a bull run for over 2 years. We saw gains in the Bitcoin market like traditional finance markets and mainly index funds never see. You'll never see the S&P 500 do 20x in a year. You'll never see traditional finance markets do that kind of growth unless you're talking about an IPO or something, unless you're talking about a new stock or something. You just don't see this kind of return in a traditional finance market. You don't see this anywhere. So guys, the first thing we need to talk about is that we are absolutely completely spoiled. We are completely and totally spoiled as cryptocurrency traders in traditional finance markets, in real estate, in so many other markets that are hundreds of trillions of dollars in valuation. People are happy to get 10, 20, 30% returns in the span of a year. Guys, if you were to come back here and buy at $6,500, you called this as the bottom, and then you sold up here at $10,000, you already made, like, I'm not going to do the math right now, 35, 40% in the span of 4 weeks. Just because we're in a bear market doesn't mean you can't make incredible returns. Now, we're not necessarily making the returns that we were making in 2017, but just because we're not making as good of returns as we possibly can doesn't mean that we're not also making really good returns. So guys, you need to work on your perspective if you're really worried about this market, because like I said earlier, the fundamentals are continuing to grow in the positive direction. Just because the price action is going down and the fundamentals are going up doesn't mean you should be worried. It actually means you should be very greedy and bullish, because when the fundamentals are going up and the price action is going down, what does that tell you? That tells you you should be buying. This is the time to be buying, guys. I'm not telling you to buy. I'm not telling you to buy. What I'm telling you is the actual technology that we're investing in here is increasing in value because we're continually seeing adoption. We're continually seeing regulatory clarity. We're continually seeing development. We're continually seeing awareness continue to rise. I've talked about those 4 principles in a lot of videos before. We're continuing to see the fundamentals of the market, which the valuation of this market is based off of, continue to grow. Just because the price is going down doesn't necessarily mean that that is also. When that grows and the price goes down, that's when you ought to be getting greedy. When everyone else is getting scared in a market, that's when you come in and buy. I was looking at Bitcoin memes and this came up, and this is a great way to summarize this whole video. Don't be this guy. This is a tweet released on the 15th of July, 2011. Well, Bitcoin has stabilized around almost exactly $14 a coin. I'm so tired of waiting for a jump, so I'm just going to take the loss and get my cash back. Well, that guy did take a big loss because Bitcoin ran to $20,000. Do you have any idea? That's like quick math. That's like a 650x return, something like that. If he had held on to Bitcoin for another 5 years, guys, you guys are going to be alive for the next several decades. Most of you guys are very, very healthy people, I'm sure. And most of you guys are rather young because I know my demographics. You guys are going to be around for a long time. If you're looking to make money in cryptocurrency, you can't expect it to come over the next couple of days. But anyway, guys, like I said, I'm going to be doing a dedicated video to that kind of topic in tomorrow's video, so definitely stay tuned for that. If you guys are interested, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe to the video if you guys think you got good value out of this. Also, come follow me on Instagram because I post stuff like this every single day. Not all of it's cryptocurrency related, but a lot of it is. You can also follow me on Twitter and follow my silly ranting. And also, guys, if you're interested in buying in this really, really cheap Bitcoin, which I know I am, I would highly recommend signing up for the exchange Binance. It is the most used cryptocurrency exchange. If I'm not mistaken, it has the most trading volume. It has a great user interface and a lot of tokens to choose from, a lot of cryptocurrencies to choose from to trade. So I would highly recommend Binance. It is definitely the best exchange on the market. I use it personally. But that's going to be it for this video, guys. I want to thank each and every single one of you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.